You're listening to the Send It Podcast with Andrew Rawls on World Talk Radio.
Grumman 7 Judah Bravo, then ground, turn right on Bravo, runway 18 left, Bravo, and it'll merge with Alpha at Alpha 3.
So a helpful piece of advice here I'm about to offer. Before each skydive, before you go out, before every jump, you want to do a couple of things. The first thing you want to do is obviously inspect your gear. On every jump, you want to inspect your reserve pin. A lot of people say, well, don't open up the reserve flap. You only have to do that once a day. I don't know who is saying that. The bottom line is on every single jump, you want to pull open that reserve flap and check your reserve pin to see if it shifted or moved. I mean, you've got, you're falling at 130 miles an hour. Something can easily be off with that reserve pin and the way it's seated inside that closing loop, and it can cause you to have a bad day. So every single jump, always check your reserve pin. The second thing you want to do is look at the weather. Now, it may be harder when you feel like, you're doing back-to-back jumps, but you need to carry a cell phone with you. And to that cell phone, you need to have saved bookmarks for Ryan Carlton and Mark Schultz weather reports. I also highly recommend downloading Spot Assist to where you can actually check the winds aloft before you go up in the air. It's critical. You don't want to get into the habit of saying, hey, I know what to expect. I've jumped. Things haven't changed. The weather can change very quickly, and you don't want to be at the mercy of Mother Nature. That's the thing for me, is that you've got everything dialed up in terms of experience with jumps. You know how to fly your canopy. You know what you're supposed to be doing in free fall, and then you get down under canopy, and you've got some crazy wind shearing going on that makes for a bad day, and you land off, and if there's a place like some of the drop zones up north in Pennsylvania, wherever it may be, there's very few places to land out. So always, again, check your reserve pin and check the winds aloft. And what you can do is you can actually just pull it up. Say you have a turn rig and you're going to sit down and you're waiting for the tandem instructors to show up with the students. Then what you do is you just pull it out and just say, hey, there, I just want to confirm that 1,500 feet, 1,000 feet, winds are 8-9 knots, and you look all the way up. And typically, what I try to focus on, unless something's just really hairy and gnarly, is if I plan on deploying at say 4,000 feet, I want to know exactly what the winds are doing at that altitude. And that's extremely important. And Ryan Carlton and Mark Schultz, they'll give you the winds aloft, and then you've got Spot Assist, which in many cases is pulling off the same National Weather Service data, giving you an ideal pattern to fly. Now, a lot of the more experienced jumpers won't fly that ABC type pattern, but at least it tells you where you should try to enter the final leg of your pattern to make for a nice soft landing. I'll give you a quick story. Don't fall for the trap that as you get closer to the surface of the earth, the winds always are lighter than they are up top. That is not always the case. So I was at Skydive the Ranch earlier this year, and they had put together some special eclipse meteor shower jump. So everybody was out there at 5 a.m. Maybe it was 6, somewhere around that time. And I was running late, and I didn't even bother to check the winds aloft before I got onto the plane. And, I just felt the wind brushing up against my face, and that was really one of the first times that, I'd glanced over at just the uppers and just jumped on the plane. Didn't even bother to look and see what the winds were doing around pattern time, 1,000 feet. The plan was to go up and do a high pull so you could actually see the event. And it was great. I mean, it was nice. There were some clouds. It was beautiful out. And it was really, really calm. I asked somebody, hey, what are the uppers doing? They say, oh, they're doing 8 or 9 knots. But what they didn't know is the winds at around 1,500 feet were 24 to 29 knots and gusting. So I ended up taking my time up there and hanging out around the drop zone. And sure enough, when I was about to start my pattern, I ended up getting caught too far south and landing off. It was actually in someone's backyard, and the canopy actually went into a tree. So anything can happen. And again, nature has a way of humbling you very quick, especially when you think you're a skilled skydiver. So I can't stress enough, before every single jump, check your reserve pin and also check the winds aloft, with a particular focus on the altitudes in which you're going to fly your pattern. So 4,000 and below, and then give it a double look to make sure that nothing funky is going on down low, because I've seen it happen. Unfortunately, I came out all right, but it was a definitely definitely a humbling experience for me. And landing off at Skydive the Ranch is not something that you want to do. Fortunately, I got caught south, but the winds were not only extremely gnarly, it was very turbulent as well. One final point, and this is particularly true if you aren't the first group, always watch the groups in front of you if you can to see how their landings are going. Perhaps they've taken the pattern that's been agreed to before everybody lands, and that pattern is now a downwinder. Look at the direction of the windsock and the flag, tetrahedron if you have one, assuming it isn't locked down. That way you get an idea of how your landing is going to be. You know, I'm at the point now where I actually like a lot of these drop zones that either have a definite landing pattern or they allow the lowest person to set the pattern, assuming that person's experienced and they can look down and see what direction the winds are coming in. So those are just 3 tips that'll help you become a safer skydiver. Fly hard and stay safe out there.
You've just listened to Send It, a skydiving podcast hosted by Andrew Rawls on World Talk Radio. Send It is the #1 skydiving podcast on the planet, bringing listeners up-to-date information on all things sky sports. Be sure to visit senditradio.com to join the conversation, access the show notes, and discover our amazing bonus content and articles. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd love for you to subscribe, rate, and give a review. Until next time, 3, 2, 1. See ya.